各位
Good afternoon, friends from the press. Welcome to today's regular press conference of the MFA. The floor is open.
发言人好，环球时报记者提问：今年慕尼黑安全会议聚焦多极化。
Global Times, the Munich Security Conference focuses on multipolarity. Foreign Minister Wang Yi delivered a speech. Could you make comment on it? Is China a pole of this multipolar world? A multipolar world is not only historical inevitability, it's also becoming a reality. What multipolarity does the world need? In the keynote speech at the Munich Security Conference, Foreign Minister Wang Yi further shared China's answer, i.e. work for an equal and orderly multipolar world. An equal world offers equal rights, equal opportunities, and equal rules. The core proposition is equality among all countries regardless of their size. Each and every country or country group have its place in the globalized system. International affairs are not dominated by only a handful of countries, and hegemonism and power politics should be rejected. An orderly world ensures stable progress toward greater multipolarity instead of leading to turbulence. To this end, all countries need to respect international rule of law, practice multilateralism, pursue openness and mutual benefit, jointly uphold the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, preserve the central role of the UN in the international system, and promote the common development of every country. You asked about China's role in the world's multipolar structure. Foreign Minister Wang Yi made it amply clear that China will surely be a factor of certainty in this multipolar system and strive to be a steadfast, constructive force in a changing world. We have firmly upheld the authority and stature of the UN and called for increasing the representation and say of developing countries in the international system. Every country should have their voice heard and their role valued. China resolutely upholds the authority of international rule of law and never practices exceptionalism, still less cherry-picking. China upholds true multilateralism and put forward the Belt and Road Initiative and the Global Development, Security and Civilization Initiatives, providing public goods for improving global governance. We stay committed to sharing development opportunities with other countries and promote a universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization and an equal and orderly multipolar world through our own development and opening up. Next one, please.
Thank you. Question from AF.
法新社，韩国媒体表示，中国的 DeepSeek 将会根据韩国的法律跟进、改进和完善后才会恢复服务。中方对此有何评论？
具体问题请向
I refer you to specific Chinese authorities for a specific question. I want to stress that
The Chinese government, as always, asks our companies to strictly abide by local laws and regulations in doing business overseas. We also oppose relevant countries overstretching the concept of national security in some tech and economic and trade issues. Next one, please.
发言人下午好，韩联社提问。
Yonhap News Agency. Foreign ministers from the ROK, the US, and Japan met on February 15th in Munich. They, for the first time, expressed support for Taiwan's meaningful participation in appropriate international organizations, strongly opposed any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion in the waters of the Indo-Pacific, including the South China Sea, and emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. What's your comment? We, as always, firmly oppose relevant countries' attempt to put together small circles, interfere in China's internal affairs, attack and smear China, and stoke confrontation and antagonism. China has protested to relevant countries. Taiwan is an inalienable part of China's territory. The Taiwan question is purely an internal affair of China, which brooks no external interference. The key to upholding cross-strait peace and stability lies in abiding by the One China principle and firmly opposing Taiwan independent separatism. the Taiwan region's participation in the activities of international organizations must and can only be handled in line with the One China principle. Let me stress that the Asia-Pacific is a stellar example of peace and development, not a chessboard for geopolitical contests. We call on relevant parties to respect the regional countries' effort for peace and stability, abandon the Cold War mentality, stop creating bloc confrontation, and stop fueling tensions in the region. China will firmly safeguard national and territorial sovereignty and maritime rights and interests, and stays committed to properly handling differences through dialogue and consultation with countries concerned. Next one, please.
Good afternoon. A question.
路透社，我也想问一问，王毅外长访德之旅。他会见了德国、法国、西班牙和欧盟的外长，传达了中国愿意加强与欧洲关系的信息。尽管现在存在贸易紧张局势，中欧关系现在是否比任何时候都更加重要？考虑到跨大西洋关系面临新的不确定性，中方对此有何评论？
当前
As we speak, unilateralism and protectionism are rising, and uncertainties and destabilizing factors are intertwining with each other. The international community aspire for peace and stability, want a sound and steady China-EU relations, and expect China and the EU to play a constructive role in this changing world now more than ever before. This year marks the 50th anniversary of China-EU diplomatic relations. China stands ready to work with the EU to remain each other's partners, enhance strategic communication and coordinated cooperation, uphold multilateralism, jointly respond to global challenges, add new vitality and dynamism to China-EU relations, and provide more certainty and stability to this turbulent world.
下一个问题。
Next one.
Question from Bloomberg.
彭博社，本周早期，美国国务院官网删除了不支持台独的表态，更新了美台关系的现况。中方是否与此和美方保持沟通？对此有何评论？ There is but one China in the world. Taiwan is part of China, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legal government representing the whole of China. It's a prevailing international consensus and a basic norm governing international relations, and also a solemn commitment the U.S. has made in the 3 China-U.S. joint communiques. History cannot be tampered with, facts cannot be denied, and truth cannot be distorted. U.S. State Department updated its fact sheet on relations with Taiwan and gravely backpedaled on its position on Taiwan-related issues. This move severely violates the One China principle and the 3 China-U.S. joint communiques, goes against international law and basic norms of international relations, and sends a seriously wrong signal to the separatist forces for Taiwan independence. This is another example of the U.S. clinging to its wrong policy of using Taiwan to contain China. We urge the U.S. to immediately correct its wrongdoings, abide by the One China principle and the 3 China-U.S. joint communiques, handle the Taiwan question with extra prudence, stop using Taiwan to contain China, stop upgrading its substantive relations with Taiwan, stop helping Taiwan expand so-called international space, stop emboldening and supporting Taiwan independence, and avoid further severe damage to China-U.S. relations and peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. Next one, please.
谢谢发言人。北京青年报记者提问：据报道，2月15日，第38届非洲联盟
The 38th Ordinary Session of the African Union, or AU Assembly of the Heads of State and Government on February 15 elected Djibouti's Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Minister Mohamed Ali Yusuf as the new AU Commission chairperson for a 4-year tenure. What's China's expectations for the China-AU relations going forward? We congratulate Mr. Mohamed Ali Yusuf on his election as chairperson of the African Union. The AU is a banner of strength through unity for Africa and an important platform for international cooperation. China views its relations with the EU from a strategic and long-term perspective. President Xi Jinping has sent a congratulatory message to the AU summit for 13 consecutive years and met with AU leader during FOCAC Beijing summit, which fully speaks to the high level of China-AU relations. At present, peace and development in Africa faces new opportunities and challenges. China stands ready to work closely with President Yusuf and the newly elected AU Commission continues to support the AU's leading role in advancing African integration and sending out a stronger voice in international and regional affairs, jointly promote the in-depth development of China's relations with the AU and Africa, and champion the Global South's effort to seek strength, unity, and advance modernization. Next one.
Thank you. Question from RIA Novosti.
俄新社，美国总统特朗普早些时候表示，金砖国家已经终结。他威胁对那些将推出新货币、挑战美元的国家征收100%的关税，那一刻起就是如此。中方对此有何评论？
金砖国家作
As an important platform for cooperation among emerging markets and developing countries, BRICS advocates openness, inclusiveness, and win-win cooperation, not block confrontation, and does not target any third party. The aim is to realize common development and prosperity. China stands ready to continue working with BRICS partners to deepen practical cooperation in various fields and make more contributions to the steady growth of the world economy. On U.S. tariff hikes, China has made clear its position more than once. Trade and tariff wars have no winners and undermine the interests of people from all countries.
下一个问题。
Next one.
Another question from Reuters.
路透社，中方与库克群岛签订了协议，中方是否会公开发布这一份协议？能否介绍更多的信息？新西兰表示对于协议的内容十分关切，中方对此有何评论
2月14日下午，李强总理
In the afternoon of February 14th, Premier Li Qiang met with the Prime Minister of Cook Island, Mr. Braun, during the closing ceremony of the 9th Asian Winter Games. During the meeting, the two sides positively remarked the bilateral relations and reaffirmed the principles guiding the bilateral exchanges and consulted the prospects for future cooperation. After the meeting, Premier Li Qiang and Prime Minister Braun witnessed the signing of the multiple bilateral cooperation documents, including the Plan of Action for Comprehensive Strategic Partnership between China and Cook Islands 2025 to 2030. The Plan of Action aims to provide a roadmap for cooperation across various sectors in economic, environment, cultural, and social areas, and benefit the friendly cooperation and communication between the two sides and benefit the two peoples. The bilateral relations does not target any third party and is not affected by any third party. Next question.
Another question from Bloomberg.
彭博社，日本的司法部表示将会修改家庭法规则，允许台湾、巴勒斯坦和其他非国家的地区被列为家庭登记的原籍地，而目前来自台湾居民只能够登记为中国居民，未来将会登记为台湾居民。中方对此有何评论？
领土不可分割。
Taiwan is an inalienable part of Chinese territory. Both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to the one Chinese family. The question of Taiwan is purely an internal affair of China, which brooks no foreign interference. Japan once invaded and exercised colonial rule over Taiwan, and has borne serious historical crime to the Chinese people. It should all the more conduct prudently. We urge Japan to abide by the One China principle and the guiding principles of the 4 China-Japan political documents. Stop making sideshows on the question of Taiwan and stop sending conflicting or wrong message. Next one.
Your criticism now, are you saying
所以你认为，在日本家庭法的改变违反了中日的基本政治文件吗？
日方恪守一个中国原则和中日4个政治。
For the Japanese side, it is their solemn commitment to abiding by the One China principle and the 4 China-Japan political documents. I want to readdress that Taiwan, the question of Taiwan is an internal affair of China, which brooks no foreign interference. Next one.
Thank you. Question from AFP.
法新社，中国的公安部副部长助理刘忠义正在前往泰缅边境，将带回与诈骗有关的600中国人。而根据泰国媒体，他昨天去了泰国，将会将涉及诈骗有关的中国人带回国。中方对此有何细节评论？对于他访泰有何评论？
近期在
The recent strain of online gambling, telecom fraud, and other vicious cases along the Thailand-Myanmar border has threatened the safety of people's life and property from China and other relevant countries, and disrupted the normal exchange and cooperation between regional countries. Cracking down on crimes of online gambling and telecom fraud is a demonstration of how the Chinese government implements the people-centered philosophy, a master choice to safeguard the common interests of regional countries, and is what people all over the world want. China is working with Thailand, Myanmar, and other countries to actively conduct bilateral and multilateral cooperation, adopt a series of policies, address symptoms and root causes, jointly prevent lawbreakers from crossing borders to commit crimes, and end the scourge of online gambling and telecom fraud, so as to protect the safety of people's life and property, and keep the exchange and cooperation between regional countries in order. China will work with competent authorities and guide relevant departments to handle this issue so as to protect the legitimate rights and interests and the safety and security of Chinese citizens overseas. As regard to the visit that you mentioned, I do refer you to competent authorities. Next one, please.
还有其他问题吗？
Any other question?
好，今。
And that's the end of today's press conference. Thank you.